Hi, my name is Yanying Li. I work for ALICE. ALICE is a European technology platform for logistic innovation. Today I talk about a joint guide to allow city and the region and the companies to work together for a zero-emission urban logistics by 2030. The joint guide published in 2021 during the POLIS conference in Gothenburg. The joint guide reflects our visions. We believe that urban freight should contribute to city climate actions, should proactively respond to the current challenges we face, such as pollution, congestions, and safeties. And the objectives of this joint guide to ensure a strong dialogues between the public and the private sectors, and to define our common goals and to build a consensus, but also to accelerate innovative solutions and to work together for achieve zero-emission urban freight transport. You can download the guide from the ALICE website. I put the link there, and the guides have 5 solution areas, 5 intervention areas. That's including smart governance and regulations, clean and alternative fleet, logistical operations. And we also include data acquisitions and sharings and the consumer engagement. In the joint guide, you will find some examples. For example, for smart governance and regulations, we specifically mentioned sustainable urban logistic plans and how to set up emission reduction targets. And for alternative fleet and clean vehicles, how to implement clean vehicles. You can find all the technical details in the joint guide. As we published last in 2021, so now we in 2022 we focus on disseminating this joint guide. To do so, POLIS and ALICE jointly launched a webinar series and to disseminate this joint guides, but also to link the current practices with those intervention areas we identified. And we started with identify projects, and then we invite them to share best practices and to form a partnership. And through those webinars, we also were able to deepen our understandings, to bridge knowledge gaps, and also to identify the new needs, new trends, and to develop action plans for the future. We did 5 in total. And the conclusions is that the public and the private sectors must work together. That is the only way forward. And the 5 webinars uncovered different topics, and through those webinars we learned a lot. And for example, for zero-emission zones, we learned that public and the private sectors are still not on the same page. And we understand that public sectors has made huge efforts in mapping stakeholders to follow recommendations, but private sectors felt that their voice is still not being fully considered. So the recommendations from our webinar is public sectors need to complete the stakeholders, including small and the big players, and all type of stakeholders may be affected by such policy measure. And initiating pilot project is essential, and private sectors should proactively join such pilot to test any measures rather than sitting there and complaining. And private sector should also liaise with each other to develop a consensus and unified recommendations to public sectors to make sure that their needs will be reflected in the policy making. And as private sector, particularly for bigger players, they need time to rearrange their operations. A minimum 2 years is needed. Also for big players, it's not possible for them to develop solutions for just one city. So a more harmonized approach with similar cities or cities in the same regions or countries use similar approach will be very welcomed by logistic companies. Impact on workforce should not be overlooked by policymakers, and private sectors should give their recommendations. And you can refer my articles and impact of low emission zones I published in Intertraffic. What else? We learned a lot in 2022 through those webinars. So for example, combination of passenger and freight transport has the potential to reduce cost and increase efficiencies. There are some pilot projects, but the current regulatory frameworks and the lack of strong partnerships between logistic operators and the public transport operators are challenges for any further development. And if we want to see real deployment, we still need some work in the future. And the current practice shows that collaborative urban logistics can reduce emissions associated with logistic transport, and that is very innovative solutions. And the concept is that to share resources, infrastructures, and transport to perform the last mile deliveries, that's including B2B and B2C. Cities can play a key role to facilitate implementations of such solutions in their cities. Logistics for urban construction site has not been given enough focus. It is a key contributor to congestions and air pollutions, but not enough research into how can better planning, how to collect the data, and how to make logistics for urban constructions more efficient. And there's some research into use of consolidation centers or use of inland waterways can reduce negative impact, and more work is definitely needed. Urban space is a big topic. It's under pressures as we need space for example, consolidation centers as we move to smaller and clean fleet, and we want to use cargo bikes, and for that we need collaborative consolidation centers in city areas, and we also want to avoid situations like dark stores. We still want city centers mainly for business. And curbside is also under pressures as we increased our e-commerce, and there's more deliveries, and we need more packing and solutions as well. And until now, very unfortunately, 90% of curbside is still being used only for private car park. So how we can release such space and to use for other purpose, and that is challenges for cities, but also for private sectors. Fortunately, there are many digital tools which can be used to understand the use of curbside, but also can use to develop innovative solutions to optimize use of urban space. Again, more research, more pilots, more tests, more policy measures are needed. Okay, I pause here, and thank you very much. And you can contact me for any further informations, and follow us on LinkedIn and check our news on our website. Thank you.